Time to fight fear with faith. Jody Paar is a survivor who is no longer staying silent. She and her guest will fuel you up so you too can fight fear. Uplifting and inspirational stories that will rock you to your core. We don't tiptoe around the truth. We steamroll it in a bold way. This is your life, and now is the time to start living it. Get ready for the Faith Over Fear podcast with Jody Paar. Now, welcome Jody Paar to inspire you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Faith Over Fear. Today is a very tough subject. We're going to get really serious and we're going to talk about fear. We're going to talk about domestic relationships. We're going to talk about going through things when you think you can't go through them. And a lot of you listeners may or may not know, and watching this, that I was in an abusive relationship for 4 years of my life. And it was something that defeated me as a person, and the warning signs were there in the beginning, but I don't want this to be all about me. But I will say this, I left him 23 times in 4 years, 23 times, because the good was like scraps. I wanted the good because the good was what like those scraps that I got. But then it came down to less and less scraps until it got to where it was actually abusive to get anything from him. And then it turned so abusive that I found myself in different situations. And that is in my second book. But today I have two dynamic women that I want to talk to, Tina Hall and Amy Morrison. And we all are united because we all stand on this subject because we all have been through this. So I ask this, if you're watching this or listening to this, and it sounds already like something you're going through, don't turn this off. You need to hear this. You need to listen to this because your future could be in danger and you don't even know it. I always say it's a moth to a flame. It's a fun game until somebody gets hurt. And I'm going to tell you, in a domestic relationship, somebody will get hurt, and it's usually not the person abusing. So I'm going to turn it over to Amy now. Amy, hi. Thank you for being on Faith Over Fear today. What is it that you want to share with us today? What is it that you want to say?
I went through a situation called gaslighting.
Okay.
Which undermines a person's reality, sanity, very insidious. It causes the person that's receiving the abuse to take part in the abuse.
Okay.
Crazy making is a term that I found afterwards. It was things like, you don't know how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all my fault. And they are
right.
Just dramatic. We come to bed with DEET on from fixing motorcycles in the garage. And I eggshells.
Right.
Could you please take a shower first? You should want me anyway. He would touch me in a way that would hurt or uncomfortable, take total offense, climb off of me. It came to when I started asking questions about why he wasn't coming home at night, it turned into, you don't trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Found condoms at his office, and we are here. We've never done that here. So that was 5 years before the Lord started showing me what was going on. Like I would find myself, we had kids, I put them to sleep, and I remember just rocking back and forth. I hate my life. I hate my life. I want out of this.
Yeah.
I remember falling asleep on the couch one night, and I'm like, okay, God, obviously he needs the wife he needs. My kids need the mom they need. I'm out of here. And I wake up in the morning. My daughter was 3, and she says, Mommy, I'm so glad you're alive. 3. Never said anything like that before or after. So I was like, okay, God,
right.
Got it.
Right.
So it was 2 years later that I was praying a prayer over this prayer group I had started because I'm saving my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's obviously all me. And I was the facilitator, so I prayed the prayer over the marriages of protection. I stopped myself, like, oh, dear Lord, I'm one of those things that won't happen to me. So I brought up the situation. That was January 1st. Things started unfolding within 2 weeks. I brought up the chapter about him cheating or our family cheating. And it's in the history, and we fought hard. We're going to be the ones to break this.
Right.
So it's like, we got to be careful of this. We started planning a trip to Whistler, Canada. Oh, wow, he's taking me on a trip. And he had controlled everything down to talking to my mom and his stepmom saying, I have this handled. I'm doing this. So he even got mad at our own family. And on the way up, I looked in the glove compartment because I had systematically, started my period. So none of that would be happening. And I got a headache, and then we're in the car, and in the glove compartment box, there was condoms. And I said, well, why are these in here? Well, that's for us when we are, in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I find a flip phone in the console, and that's an emergency phone. So we get up there, and we go see a movie, and it's about someone that's been cheated on, and the person was in a movie before, and I said, oh, that the second one's coming out. And he said, oh yeah, that first one sure was funny. And my stomach just hit the movie theater floor. Like, we didn't see that. Oh, I must have seen that with my buddies.
Wow.
They saw action movies.
Right, of course.
So, oh my gosh, on the way back to the hotel, I am all over the place. How can you go from laughing to being so angry? So on the way home, I wanted to just jump out of the truck. I'm hugging the door. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And I get home, and we put the kids to bed, and I go out to the car and find the flip phone, open it up. Are you coming over tonight? I miss you. I call it. Who's this? Who's this? I'm Chad's wife. And he came out to the car, and I gave him the phone, and here, you talk to him as I kick him. So what's the gal going to do that's been made to think she was crazy? All her fault. Just the whole thing. And it all came out. And I ran up the stairs. I'm married to a monster. I found out I'm married to a monster. And I need to get the kids out of there. And he runs up the stairs, and I grab him by the shirt. And he's just looking at me like, took you long enough to figure it out. And he was going down those stairs, and heard God's voice again. You'll be the one going to jail. Take my hands off. So thank God he was with me throughout the whole thing. I kicked him out that night. When he left, I said audibly, the angel of light has left my home. Satan has left my home.
Yeah.
I was living with Satan. So no wonder why I was crazy.
Yeah. Generationals.
Or made to feel like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they do make us feel like we're crazy. They make us think we're losing our minds. They think that, it's almost like they do the whole controlling thing, but then they also do the whole, why are you thinking that? And nobody else thinks that but you, and you're crazy, and you're hallucinating. You're seeing things that aren't there. And this happens in relationships all the time. And, everything that you're saying, because all abusive relationships are exactly the same. The same monster does the same things. And you're right. It's Satan. It's evil. It is, and then they'll hurt you and say, why did you make me do that to you? It's your fault. You made me do that to you. If you wouldn't have done X, Y, Z, then I wouldn't have had to hurt you. Or they'll hurt you playfully, and then they'll laugh and be like, well, that's funny. And you're like, no, it hurts me. And then they just keep laughing. So I totally get where you're coming from. And I appreciate you sharing this. What were some of the warning signs in the beginning?
see him. Later, my mom saw him. She told me I had friends see him. Nobody knew what to say, though, and that's part of it. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Just recently, like last month, one of them said, another one said, I started seeing it once he got mad at me, how he was breaking you down.
Yeah.
When we separated, one of his friends contacted me, said, I am so sorry, Amy. He had me believing you were crazy.
Right. Yeah,
So,
definitely. Well,
what I learned at a, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's funny how the enemy tries to keep things from being said and heard, because you can tell that your computer's messing up a little bit, and we know who's doing that.
But that's a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to switch on over to Tina now, because you as well also have a story to tell. So welcome, Tina. And
thank you, Jody.
tell us a little bit about what you went through.
Okay. So going back, I'm a divorced mom of 4 adult children now. And I was married for about 24 years to, same person. I was raised in a very conservative family, and grew up believing that divorce was evil and that it was a sin and that it's not something we should even consider. And so that was really never a solution for me. I never thought when I started, and my abuse started very early on. So I was weathering through it.
Right.
And I always tried to really focus more on my kids, which we were very close. Intentionally, I was a stay-at-home mom, so I wouldn't be out there. And so I, like I said, that it was really easy for me just to focus on my kids. But I was very confined. I didn't have, I was very lonely. I didn't have a lot of interaction with anybody outside of my family,
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, as it goes on, there came a day where I really didn't feel I had any other choice than to leave, because my 2 choices were, I wasn't going to make it past a certain day. I didn't feel I could go on. I couldn't live another day. I didn't necessarily plan anything that I was going to harm myself, but I just couldn't, in my head, I couldn't picture myself going past a certain day. It just seemed too hard. I couldn't do it. And then the other choice would be to leave, which I felt was like climbing Mount Everest at the time. But if I left, I knew that I would be alone because I had no self-worth. I was beaten down so much emotionally that I didn't believe that anybody would even want to be with me, so, so choose, and so, but God really put an opportunity or a door. He opened a door for me. Circumstances led to the point where I was forced to leave the house one night. And when I did, all of a sudden I felt I had strength that I didn't even know I had. And part of that strength was my 4 kids, because I call them my pillars of strength, because all 4 of them came together with me. It was just the 5 of us. And they said, our biggest fear is that you'll go back. And when I realized that was what they wanted, that they wanted me to be free, it helped me so much, because I thought part of the reason I couldn't leave was I thought I was hurting them, like taking, breaking up their family or their house. And, we had a nice home. We had a beautiful pool in the backyard. It seemed like on the outside, everything was picture perfect. Anybody looking at our family might not know, unless they were close to us, that there was even an issue or a problem. So it, it was a little startling for people when I did leave,
Mm-hmm.
and it was even harder. It's harder when people don't know. They think that, why would you leave such a place or such a, a family? Because you have an awesome family, but they didn't know what was going on the inside, And so for me, it was both physical and it was mental. And in the very end, when I confronted him about many of the physical things that had happened throughout the 20 some odd years, it was denial. And now we know that as gaslighting. It's like and then you really feel like a crazy person, because at least, in the least, you knew there was one other person that knew that you were being harmed and that things were happening to you. But when that person denies it, then it's like, it could be you and your crazy head, like,
right.
Did I make this up, or did this really happen to me? Yes, I know it happened to me, but this person's denying it. So it makes you feel, almost insane. That was really one of the hardest things that I had to get past when I left. But I found my own strength, and it was like God had set me up a little bit, like, in many different ways, not only opening the door for me to leave, but I had my background. I had my bachelor's in psychology that I got right out of high school before I got married and everything else. So I had that. And then I also had passed the CBEST, which allowed me to work in the school system. And I still had 2 kids in, the high school. And so I wanted if I was going to work out of the house, I wanted something where I could be home with them when they were home. So anyhow, it worked out perfect. And when I went back and I was able to go out into the real world
Right.
and have a real job and like go out and face people, and all of a sudden I thrived. I loved it because I just am a people person. I really, I love being out in front of with people and meeting people. And that was something that I wasn't really able to do. Like, I'd meet somebody and it would be like, no, you're not going, you're not going to go do this. And so now I'm like, there's nobody to tell me no.
Right.
So now here I am just meeting everybody. And then we have Friendzone. So now I get to meet even more. But yeah, it's just, but it became, it was every step of the way, it's just, but the thing is, the reason why I believe this is so important is that I felt so alone. And even some of the people that I did confide in, I would tell them what was going on physically. Like, I mentioned something that had just happened, and they had a different response. Like, I thought, they would be like, what can I do to help? It was, I'm going to keep my children away from your children because there's something going on in that house that I don't want to happen to my kids. So all of a sudden I became more isolated than ever. So I learned that I couldn't confide in people. I got a negative effect. I also tried to seek counseling, and I went out of town to a counselor at a church, and they started bringing up scripture about what I was doing wrong and how I should change the relationship. It was things, they brought up scripture about how the wife should behave. And I was being physically and emotionally abused. And here all of a sudden it got turned around on me. I remember I left in tears, and I realized it took so much for me. I had to check to make sure nobody was following me, to go to that counseling meeting and to have it turned around on me. And that happened early on. And so it wasn't, so I went through years of this, and I wouldn't want anybody else to experience that, because love is not isolation. Love is not, putting you down and making you feel like you're not worthy and that you're not, a good person. Or there's just, I've learned so much since I've left, and there's no reason. God does not want that for us.
No, not at all. And I love, the whole thing with the gaslighting thing is I never heard of that. So I remember all the time it was deny until she apologizes. And that's exactly it. He would deny. And I would think I was going crazy. His friends thought I was crazy. His friends thought I was, and it's the same with both of you. So anyone listening, I want you guys to know that if you are in this situation, that they're telling you you'll never be anything and you'll never be able to get help, but you absolutely will. You absolutely will be able to go on with your life. You absolutely will get stronger every single day. It's like a caged animal. You let the caged animal out and it's freedom. If it is a dangerous situation, then, you definitely need to make sure that you're safe about getting out of it, because I know there were several times I tried to leave and it was not good. So it was actually kind of scary, the glare in his eyes. So I kind of want to just let people know that there is a hotline that you can call for that. There's National Abuse Hotline that you can call. So I'm going to give you guys that number real quick. It's 1-800-656-4673. That is a 800 number that you can call. And, national domestic abuse is it's a real thing. And it is something that so many people, men and women, both deal with. So we wanted to touch on that. And if you are in a domestic violence relationship, you can get help at 1-800-799-SAFE. So 1-800-799-7233. Because, of course, we want you to be very careful. And you know what kind of danger you're in about leaving. So we're going to switch gears here. And we're going to talk about, that was all about the fear. And I thank you ladies for being honest and sharing with that. We're going to switch gears to the faith side, to the exciting side, to the friend zone. I want to hear all about the friend zone. I want to hear about how you guys met, how it happened. And I'm going to let whoever wants to take the floor, take it and tell us all about the friend zone.
Going first.
Okay.
So we had met through a business that we were involved in, and the person was starting a new social media site, and they were like, okay, go. And I got on, and I was the only one on. I'm like, why am I the only one on? I think Tina and I talked a little bit before, so we had each other's messenger. And she's like, how'd you get on? I'm like, I don't know how I got on. So we were like bound and determined. I think we tried for, I don't know, an hour. And so we thought, how can we advertise what we're doing? And we had heard going live and interviewing people or something, but we thought, well, let's just have fun with it. And we found a video of a gal that was spoofing wine, and we're like, oh, we can do something like that. So it just grew from there, and after we met is when we figured out our same stories, and we're like, oh, that is, wow, thank you, God.
Yes, such a God thing.
It is.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
It is. And I'll let Tina continue since I started at the beginning.
No, it's great. I know. I think we both are just very tenacious. Like we won't let anything stop us. And that's really a good thing for both of us to have, because we haven't really waited till everything's perfect. We've just, we're learning as we go along, and in learning, we become very authentic because we've had lots of, all kinds of things happening with, technology and all this, and we just run through it and we don't let it stop us. And I think that people appreciate that, because they're like, if Tina and Amy can do this, then I can do whatever it is they're trying to do as well. But yeah, when Amy and I met in person, it was like we had known each other forever. It was like, in girl time, like, woohoo, it was so fun. And so we we say we have the same brain, because often she'll think of something that I'm thinking of, or I'll forget and she'll have it. And it's like, we just really work really well together. And the friend zone, it just evolved. It's it started out as trying to go live and, thinking about doing a spoof. And then all of a sudden we had an interview, and the interview got a little serious, and we're like, wow, like we are actually helping bring issues to the table.
Yes.
Like we are helping others, and we our inner circle has just grown, and we found that I'm not like, oh, we're helping others. It's not us. It's bigger than us. It's the friend zone. The friend zone is bringing people together, and together those people are able to collaborate, or they're learning from each other, or they're just getting the support of each other. And it's just turning into something that is beautiful, and something that, it's how we're all meeting. It's how we met you, Jody. It's just, and then we've watched some of our tribe, interact with you and learn from you. So it grows, and love grows, and friendship grows. And it's just become an amazing thing.
It does. And I love the fact that you guys welcome anyone in the world You welcome them in, because it's sad that a lot of people don't feel like they have friends. I mean, it's really sad. A lot of people go through different adversities in life, and they feel like they're all alone. They feel like there's no one else that can relate to them or understand them. And then you have this brunette and this blonde that's like, yes, we're in the friend zone, come, and then they feel a part of something. And it's very important that people feel a part of something.
Right.
Society could beat us down so bad about, you're not smart enough to be in my group, or you're not rich enough to be in my group, or you're not, this or that. And I love, I love the whole thing behind the friend zone, because you guys are so based on love, and you show so much love to so many people. And I just admire that. And I know this Zoom or this podcast, either or, if you watch it or if you listen to it, I know it's going to blow people away that they have no idea what your stories are. It's going to shock a lot of people, because you are both so giving that they probably think that you came from milk and honey land, They have no idea. And that's beautiful, is because people can relate to that, and they can see that about you. So what is if you could leave one quote or one thing that you wanted to tell the world right now listening, Amy, what would that one thing be? And then Tina, I want you to go next. I want you to say, what is that one thing that you feel like on your heart you want to share?
If you resonate to any of this, any of it, please seek help. You can message one of us, call the numbers Jody gave. You're not alone. If they're making you think you're alone, you're not. And again, just get in contact with someone. I didn't know any of this was happening to me until I started research and God opening my eyes. So that's why I'm out bringing awareness to this insidious thing called gaslighting.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you. And Tina?
With so much focus on us being better, I mean, there's so much, especially even on the internet, get better, lose weight, be smarter, be this, be that. I just want people to know that they are good enough right where they're at, and God is meeting you right where you're at. You don't have to go do all these things before somebody's going to accept you. And that's why we accept people, because we truly believe that. We believe that you guys are good enough as you are right now, and you don't have to change one bit. And we love you just how you are. And if you want to get better, we'll help you get better. But you're in. You're in the friend zone already.
Tell everybody how they can find you guys on social media.
You can find us through the Facebook page that we have. That's where we do our shows from, called the Friendzone. And then our group is the same. And you can visit the group from the page. It says visit group. Just boop that little button. And so that's the best way to find us. We're on Instagram, get in the Friendzone. Tina's got that going. And that's it. Tina, where else can they find us? We're working on a website.
Well, yeah, we do have a getinthefriendzone.com, but it's not totally set up yet. We also will be doing it on YouTube. We have big aspirations that we're working on. And so soon you'll be able to go on our website, see our shows, but for now, and we will be a podcast as well. So all this is happening, and it's happened. Yeah, I love it. So we have so many different, some people only listen to podcasts. Some people only listen to YouTube. So you really have to put yourself out there in many different, places so people can listen to you. And we're just trying to get our message out, and we're trying to get your message out. So that's really what it's about.
That's so awesome. I love that. Thank you guys so very much for being on here today. Thank you for sharing your stories, and thank you for letting people know they're not alone, and letting people know that there are warning signs to look for, and that the happily ever after guy that keeps telling you you're nuts is not the happily ever guy for you. So thank you guys for being here. As I said, find them on the Friendzone. You can find me on Instagram under the Jody Paar. I'm also on Facebook, Jody Thomas Paar. JodyPaar.com is my website. There's lots of ways that you guys can also reach out to me if you need someone to talk to, or if you're in a situation. So please know that as well. So that's all we have for today. Thank you again, and
Bye. Thanks, everybody.